Hello, my fellow Hetalians, Calco here, and this is your monthly recap of what happened in Hetalia. Before we get into the review, though, we have a sponsor! Yee! This video is sponsored by Bilibili Comics. Bilibili Comics is a website where you can view all kinds of beautifully drawn and engaging visual novels and manhwa. I know a lot of you love manhwas and are really into these kinds of stories with gorgeous men and cute girls. After all, you do watch Hetalia. Navigating the site is really simple. You just click the link in the description below, and you are taken to a place full of all kinds of really, really cool manhwa. I really like this one suggested to me called, what was it called? It began something with a merman. Merman's Affair. It automatically pulls up suggestions for you. Click on that, and you are taken to the page where you can start reading, or you can just hop to a chapter where you left off. I really love the world building in this one, and I think it's a really creative idea that it's about a stunt double who is mistaken for a princess, and I think it's just really, really interesting. So check out Bilibili Comics. Click the link in the description below to help support this channel. Thank you. We continue with a meeting of the Micronation showing off their new outfits. In this comic, we learn the following. Zaborga has been a child for over 1,000 years. Y goes meta and mentions how her king painted a picture of her, which he actually did. And apparently she runs an art school now. Kugel Moogle can just sever his nation in half and just go plunk. Sweden helps Ladonia rebuild whenever his stick tower falls apart. There's a tiki bar in Molossia where you can eat hamburgers, and he apparently cooks for all of the micro crew. He also apparently hosted the first ever Microcon. And Sealand determines that he is the most famous micronation. Molossia is also a completely different person here. Like, he's a lot less screamy and middle fingery, and he's just a lot more chill now. I'm really sad they don't mention the war with Kikassia, though. It's like the coolest part of Molossian history. Sealand tries to go to war with England, who still has no caller ID, but the other nations stop him. Ladonia's like,
well, I won a war against Sweden, and Molossia won a war against America, so we could totally take him, right?
And Molossia's like, yeah, sure, I totally won a war against America. I totally wasn't bullshitting you guys. Everyone is freaking out and debating on what to do while leaving England, who has the patience of a fucking saint, on hold. Then Hot River comes out of nowhere and apologizes and hangs up. He then tells the children to pay their taxes and obey the law of their home countries, saying it's his final piece of advice. Molossia justifies this by saying, oh, it's not taxes, it's foreign aid. I really hope we see more of Molossia because he has a really big role in Micronation history. Hot River then announces that he's going to disappear because he hadn't paid his taxes in 50 years and needed to sell himself, and so he lost his territory. Some new Micronations then come in, mocking Hot River for giving up. It's the Aerican Empire and Nico Jr. Molossia and Aerica interact at Micronation conventions and are apparently BFFs. Aerica then turns to Hot River and says that he can still exist as a Micronation through the power of imagination. Nico Jr. apparently succeeded his grandfather who retired 25 years ago. He says that he won't disappear as long as he puts his heart into it. Hot River then says that apparently they can come into existence from anywhere as long as they have the will to be independent. And Hot River is then like, well, I guess you're right, bye. We learn that the Aerican Empire has claimed all of Mars and is therefore supposedly the largest micronation. He is also a Star Wars and RPG nerd. All the artsy micronations, Kugelmugel, Y, and Ladonia, do art together. Disappointed that Uzupis isn't here given his artsy origins, but okay. Y starts to paint while Kugelmugel and Ladonia are getting out heavy machinery to do construction work because their nations are all about building things out of wood. Kugelmugel wants to make his nation into a heart this time. Aerica is helping Molossia with some cleaning, and Molossia notices that Aerica is quieter than normal, and Aerica states that he's not as confident without his cool Star Wars outfit. He also notices that the smiley face that's always floating next to him is gone, because apparently it's a sentient thing. And Aerica says it mysteriously leaves when he doesn't tell it to. And apparently it's like Perry the Platypus saving the world from aliens with its smiley-faced laser beams. Just when I thought this was going to be a normal arc. So what have we learned? nations can have kids, but they can also come into existence from anywhere as long as there is a desire for independence, which contradicts a lot of nation logic, so maybe this just applies to micronations, because Cyprus never really wanted to become a nation. Greece and Turkey were fighting over the island, and so they decided to make it its own nation so that they would stop fighting. So there was no desire for independence, and yet we got Cyprus. So this probably just applies to micronations. So if the crater of Hut River doesn't want independence anymore, then I guess Hut River is going to die? Unless the nations themselves want independence, which contradicts a lot of characters like Belarus, but then also gives explanations to Prussia and Poland. Maybe this is just micronation logic. I'm just gonna think of it that way. Kids can take over and revitalize their parents' nations if they die off for a bit, I guess. I guess children of nations can inherit their parents' nations or grandparents' nations. Given the age of Nico when he retired, this kid would probably be more of his son, so maybe the title of grandfather really is just formal, and it really just could be their dad. We have learned nothing. In conclusion, we have learned nothing about nation logic, and we are instead even more confused.